It's great to speak with you today, Tim. Today I'm looking forward to hearing your views on improving small and medium-sized warehouse and transport operations. Could you first provide a brief background of yourself?
Yeah, certainly. I attended a college in northern Jersey, William Paterson University. My major was business. My minor is Spanish and psychology. And started out in a warehouse and distribution wholesaler called Newman Distributors. It was the largest wholesaler in the Tristate Area. And for 17 years, I worked as a supervisor, manager, and eventually a director. And we went from 26 to the 6th largest privately owned wholesaler in the country. The revenue went from $100 million to over $2.5 billion in sales. And I went to different areas of the warehouse and was able to see pockets of internal income not being acquired, whether it's transportation costs, percentages, discounts, return to vendor programs, productivity benchmarks on the order picking line, restructuring the environment, streamlining the environments, and then I carried over those assets and skills to various other distribution and transportation firms and was able to streamline the existing environments and go in and look at the processes and the people and restructure and reorganize without any capital investment and reduce costs and improve service. And in the process, acquired 2 service awards from the largest retailers in their industries, Taylor's Shoe Source and Starbucks.
Great. And can you share your views on how do you improve warehouse and transport operations that are small and medium sized?
Yes, it's basically going in and looking at the people, looking at the processes. There's 2 things in an environment, whether it's a transportation terminal, a warehouse, a distribution center, and it even transcends the different businesses and entities. I've done consulting for a health spa in my consulting environment. I've been doing consulting for the last 5 years, and I've worked in a health spa, in a restaurant, but in the warehouse, distribution, and transportation environments, there's 2 things that in any business that exist. It's people and its processes. And the whole main focus is to go in and look at the people, which means learn all their jobs, learn the people themselves, because the average person as a supervisor, manager, or director in an environment, what they do is they attain that position by attrition or by seniority, and people do not train them properly, or they don't give them the proper tools and support to do the position. So it's called employee suitability analysis. And it's going in and learning the people, learning the jobs. As a leader, as an executive, going in and engaging people, being highly open-minded and communicative, and having a highly professional demeanor and showing that you care about them in general and that you're just there to help the process. So there's the suitability factor exists of making sure that their job descriptions are correct, because most companies, the job descriptions haven't been updated in years, and they wait for a problem to happen, and what's called crisis management. A company will put in a lot of procedures on the process or a lot of people on the process, but the whole key is the root cause of what caused the issue is not resolved. So it's looking at the root cause. So that's the people aspect of it. As far as the procedures aspect of it, most procedures are not documented, they're not updated, and there hasn't been assigned accountability for each process in the procedures in processing the order throughout a transportation terminal, a warehouse, or a distribution center. So again, the key is also establishing accountability of who's responsible for what job and not waiting for the crisis management mode to come up. So establishing accountability, define job descriptions, make sure people are suitable for the job, support them in the job, have them sign off on the document, and hold them accountable in a very professional way. As far as the procedures follow-up goes, it's looking at the procedures. Normally they're not updated. And then looking at how the whole operation works. Learn every single job as the leader. Learn the parts of the process as the leader. Then the other aspect of it going forward, the next step, besides people and processes, is organizing the environment, which means most businesses, small and medium-sized, don't have benchmarks in place for productivity and accountability as far as whether it's drivers out on the road in the transportation firm, how many drivers to allocate out on the road, how many people to put on the order picking line, how many people to stock the warehouse. There's no monitoring of the volume of the business and establishing what's called benchmarks, whether it's loading a truck, how many drivers to deliver X amount of goods, how many orders to pick. So putting in basic benchmarks, taking the highs and lows of your analysis and putting the median benchmark in and sharing the goals with the folks, the team, and saying, here's the average we have to accomplish in order to maintain and pay for our overhead and also to maintain a certain margin of profitability, which is critical. On the higher level, once the benchmarks are established, they're called KPIs, key performance indicators, and you put them in for quantity, productivity, and you put them in for quality, qualitative benchmarks, key performance indicators. So on a higher note, once goals are reached, you can also put in incentive plans for the employees, whether it's a bonus structure or it's an hourly increase once a certain goal is met. But again, putting key performance indicators and parameters to structure the environment on what the average person should produce, productivity, and the higher goals is when we attain certain goals, what's the incentives and rewards incentive. And that's kind of the basic structure as far as small to medium-sized businesses of what they most lack.
Can you share any successes that you've seen?
Yes, there was one environment I went into. It was a third-party logistics company called NDC NFI Industries down in South Jersey. And as a general manager, I had a region of warehouses, one with a 500,000 square foot warehouse. And we were receiving 100 truckloads of ocean spray juice from Bordentown, New Jersey, which was 20 minutes away. And the main facility, 500,000 square feet, was in Burlington, New Jersey. And when I walked into the warehouse, we had over 20,000 cases of missing ocean spray juice in the inventory. Now, it wasn't stolen. It was just missing in the inventory. And they had a WMS system, which is a warehouse management system. But again, it was improper processing of the procedures and lack of accountability and properly structuring the environment. So after going in and analyzing the operation and maintaining and restructuring the proper procedures and redirecting the proper personnel suitability to certain job functions, which is the inventory control area, which is the key to the environment, we were able to reduce a 20,000 missing case inventory to 50 cases in 26 days and maintain a 50 case or less. Another entity was in Teterboro, New Jersey, Sara Lee Coffee and Tea, which was not a 3PL, it was an asset-based environment. And they had an order picking ratio, error ratio of 14%. And by restructuring the job descriptions, establishing accountability, and restructuring process and procedures, we were able to reduce a 14% error pick ratio to 1% in approximately a month and a half.
And do you have any final recommendations?
Recommendations is most small to medium-sized businesses, for some very, very obscure reason, because I received 2 calls in the last 2 months. I'm doing consulting and establishing my own consulting firm as well as a team of consultants, which we just started to do this. But these 2 executive positions that people contacted me had the same thing in common. Both companies, one in Queens and one in Jersey City, said that they had acquisitions or an increase of sales, and in the distribution centers. And again, they just didn't, but the costs were going sky high. The costs were not being consistent as far as the increase in growth and sales. The costs were still a lack of restructuring, lack of streamlining and accountability. So the only advice I'd give to people would be just to get some consultants or leaders in, such as myself, for a limited basis. And the whole thing is, we would go in, streamline it, no capital investment, no increase as far as software or hardware, so no large money being put into the operation, and have us restructure the environment, and we will be able to improve the existing operation.
And thank you, Tim, for sharing today.
Oh, you're very welcome. You can see the asset that I'm developing my own website, as far as on LinkedIn. And again, my name is Tim Cali, Timcalie, and the team of consultants I've just established, and we're just putting out on our website in the next month and a half, is complete supply chain systems. So it's www.completescs.com.